One.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Logical Gamers podcast, aka LogiCast. I'm Esoteric, and I'm here with Blanka Kong, Gunna Eos, and Hado Wolf. And today we're going to be discussing the latest installment in the Spider-Man franchise, Spider-Man No Way Home. Um, FYI, just to let you guys know who haven't watched it as of yet, this video will contain spoilers, and we're going to be discussing what we thought about the movie as well as certain points in the movie to convey our opinion of it. Um, so yeah, guys, how did you guys like it? What were your thoughts on it? Anybody want to go first?
Um,
I Mhm. Go
no,
on.
no, go off. And I know it's like you were really excited for this one. So,
Yeah, actually, I wasn't excited for the movie at first,
oh,
but I gotta say that this is by far there are eight Spider-Man movies between Sony and Marvel Cinematic, and this is easily the best one out of all of them, in my personal opinion, anyway. Um, from just how they set up, how can I even put it? From the way that they introduced this new Spider-Man, you would honestly think that, well, they skipped his origin story, but when you collectively look at all three of his movies and you put it together, Tom Holland Spider-Man's, and you put it together, in my personal opinion, all three movies was his origin story. And
Yeah.
all three movies to me were all the two movies before were good. They were good movies. They weren't. I don't really have much gripe with them. I know a lot of people may have gripes because of certain changes that they made to certain iconic characters, but to me, with the times, get over it. Um, however, at the end of this one, or by the end of this one, just really showed the constant mistakes that he's done or the constant choices that he's made and how he's had to take responsibility for each and every single one of them. And I just find that to be so much more fluid than just cramming how Spider-Man became Spider-Man in the first 15 minutes of one movie.
yeah, yeah,
That's
like
just
uh,
go on, gonna.
no, I was gonna say they've done that for like the past two iterations of Spider-Man. It's always the same. I've seen Uncle Ben get shot just as much as I've seen Bruce and Martha Wayne get shot.
So it's like for me, it was just more like this. It didn't even hit me as it being his origin until the very last scene where he's finally in the iconic comic book costume with the bright blue and the blood red and the iconic spider, and he's just swinging and gliding all over the buildings, and it was just like, holy shit, this he is now officially Spider-Man. He's not under Tony Stark's wing. He's not under the Avengers name, none of that. Nobody knows him. Nobody remembers him. He is now officially on his own in his cloth or latex suit, Spider Man. It's just like, for me, it was just like, this is how a Marvel character, at least if they're going to do more MCU characters, I felt like they did Spider Man the best out of the maybe between Captain America and Iron Man is okay as well. But I feel like Spider Man was done the best.
Huh. Okay.
Thoughts from
Anything
anyone
you want to
else?
say, Kong?
So,
I didn't want to cut anybody off, so I wanted to wait till everybody kind of had their thoughts cemented in place. But I obviously love the movie. I've watched each Spider-Man film in the theater within the launch window since 2002 with the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. So for me, it's like considering what this movie was. If you've seen it, if you're listening to this, I hope you've seen it because it's going to be spoiler filled. Um, it was the perfect Spider-Man movie for Spider-Man fans. Was it the
Yes.
best Marvel movie ever? I can't definitively say that because I don't think that the movie works in a vacuum. Like if you took a person who's never seen any of the Spider-Man films and this is their first Marvel movie, it wouldn't hit any notes. It would be kind of cool because of the spectacle of having all three Spider-Mans and having past villains kind of reappear, but that doesn't mean anything to that viewer. So with that, me considering that, I can't say that it's the best movie because it doesn't work in that function, and it's not meant to work in that function. It's meant to be a Spider-Man film or a love letter to the fans of the Spider-Man movie franchise that encompasses three actors and three different studios and three different writers and just generations pretty much at this point. It's supposed to be a love letter to like those fans and also the fans of the Avengers arc, right? Because I think the Tom Holland Spider-Man had a distinct advantage because a lot of people like to compare the three Spider-Man iterations, and I don't think that's fair because the Tom Holland Spider-Man had not only his three movies but also the Avengers arc where he was a part of, where it was a lot of story telling details that the other Spider-Man characters didn't get because of just the structure of the films and the structure or lack thereof of the universe. So it's like for me, it's like it's easy to say that this is the best Spider-Man because of the sheer volume of screen time that he had and the structure behind him as far as like storytelling for like the Avengers and Spider-Man individually. Yeah, of course Tom Holland Spider-Man is the best. My personal favorite is still Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Like I can't Spider-Man 2 with Dr. Octopus was I think the strongest standalone Spider-Man movie. Along with the first Tom Holland Spider-Man film with the Vulture. I think that was really strong. So yeah,
I don't
to wrap
understand.
up, let me just get this out and then you can take
Oh,
over.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, dude. Because this conversation, I already know we're gonna step on each other's toes a lot. So before I forget my train of thought, I just kind of want to just get it out there, because I will forget. This movie was fantastic. If you've seen any of the Spider-Man films, I definitely recommend you watch it. And I would even say if you haven't watched it or if it's been a long time, I would say go watch all of them again just to kind of give yourself a good frame of reference because this movie's gonna like double in viewership value if you've seen the other Spider-Man movie, and it's gonna mean more to you and it's gonna make a lot more sense. So 10 out of 10, best Spider-Man movie I think I've ever seen. It was the one I was most excited for. So yeah, that's it. I don't want to take over the podcast gushing about Spider-Man. Go ahead, Wolf. I know you had something to add.
No, what I was saying was a lot of people say, and it's just my point of view, and maybe it's a perspective that I'm just not understanding. But a lot of people say that Spider-Man 2, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock was a phenomenal movie. I don't really see it. Like I don't really get what about the movie was phenomenal. What I mean by what about the movie was phenomenal is first and foremost, the guy who plays Dr. Octopus, I can never see another Dr. Octopus be played by any other actor. That man nailed it. He was phenomenal.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
It's
Yeah.
like that was one of the few movie roles of comic book or video game characters, in my opinion, that was perfectly casted. However, at the same time, I guess from the premise, or maybe I'm just stuck on. I think it was the issue for me was the fact that Harry Osborn was more stuck on getting revenge on Spider-Man, and he, fucked with Mary Jane's head a little bit, and then he got his ass handed. Like it was just like for me, it was just like I think that part of the whole movie part kind of got to me more than really focusing on what was going on between Doc Ock and Spider-Man. Or maybe there's other things about the movie that was phenomenal that I just haven't seen. Because, like, I can say I believe that Winter Soldier, up until now, Winter Soldier was hands down the strongest Marvel, DC, Marvel Universe movie that they ever came out with.
Yeah.
and Captain America is not even a favorite of mine,
No,
but
no, I
Yeah.
movie
actually thought
was,
it was an amazing movie.
yeah, the movie was phenomenally built. Like if you watch that movie, you wouldn't even know that it's two comic book characters fighting. You would just think like this is an original action movie that was action that came from original source material. Um, that's how Winter Soldier felt for me, but I don't really get I'm not understanding the flair for Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2. So maybe you guys can break that down for me and I'll go ahead and watch it again afterwards. But I just never really understood it.
Hmm. Okay, well, I guess I'll give my opinions on it. As a guy who is mostly DC main, I like the DC side of the comic book field more. I actually really did enjoy this latest movie. I kind of read when movies come out I'm interested in that. I kind of like look behind the scenes, see what's going on. So I found it that they did an incredibly clever way of kind of separating Spider-Man from the MCU, but
Yes.
not yeeting him out of the MCU entirely. Because as you know, the viewers and I know everybody here knows, Spider-Man doesn't belong to Marvel anymore. They had to sell their
Right.
stuff back in the day. They went on hard times. So Sony owns Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So what they did was they removed him, they separated him from the MCU. He's still in it, but he could show up in a Sony movie at any point. And I also found it very clever how they took Venom, who to this point is a Sony character, and injected a Venom into the MCU universe. So, the final scene, there's a little bit of the symbiote that's there. So technically
Mhm.
Venom is now in the MCU, so we could realistically see the Venom that a lot of us know, the one with the upside down spider, the one that uses webs instead of his entire arm to swing. So, I think we'll see that Venom and the black suited Spider-Man at a certain point. Hopefully.
Y-
Um
yeah. Yeah. I hope I didn't cut you off,
no,
Gunner.
you can go. You can go.
But to
I'll get back to my point. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but to piggyback off your point, I definitely agree with that. I loved how they kind of laid the groundwork and articulated that all three movies are from a different world, from a different universe. So with that being said, all the gripes that we had about the prior movies are kind of like, well, should we have had gripes about it? Because I wasn't a fan of Tom Holland's Venom, like how it was portrayed. Don't get me wrong, Tom Holland is a great actor. But the way that Sony went with this particular version of Venom, I didn't like so much. So by them kind of injecting little like Easter eggs, so to speak, to further articulate like, hey, this is a multiverse going on, we may see not only the Venom that we know and love, but also we got a better understanding of, hey, well, these are different versions of Spider-Man, so therefore there's going to be different versions of the villains. Um, there's going to be different versions of how Spider-Man grows to be Spider-Man, because if you watch the prior movies there was a redundancy there, but some of the things were kind of different. Like, for example, Toby Spider-Man was in love with MJ. Andrew Garfield Spider-Man was in love with Gwen Stacy. You know what I'm saying? And then this one, although they kind of hint towards Tom Holland going out with MJ, her name is different. So with that being said, I like how they kind of encompass all the material together to kind of give the fans that grew up with the Spider-Man movies some type of closure and understanding that they're all different, but also utilize that to kind of build the groundwork for potentially, I guess, other movies with maybe Tom Holland and Toby, if they're up for it, to kind of show up again. So just
Yeah, that also helped the other Spider-Men because
yeah,
Andrew
Andrew
Garfield never got
Garfield.
he never got the third Spider-Man movie. So for all we know, we could see other Spider-Men, now that we know they're all separate universes, we could see other Spider-Man movie that isn't the Tom Holland's MCU Spider-Man. So that opens doors for that. That opens doors for, more Venom, two different types of Venoms. Fuck, they could do another crossover event and then the two Venoms, the Venom Prime and the Sub Venom can just like battle it out and that could be a uh whole mess. Um so, that opens up the doors for that. I think that's pretty cool. But as far as the actual movie that I sat down and watched, I thought it was a great movie. Um, Wolf brought it up, but to me, hands down, as far as MCU, no movie can beat Winter Soldier in my eyes.
Yeah, I
That
agree with
movie
that.
is fucking amazing. Like, Wolf said it. You can take Captain America, Falcon, and the Winter Soldier
Winter
out, and
Soldier.
you can put other people, and it's just an amazing action, suspenseful spy drama. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
it's so that movie will never be topped in my eyes. But this movie was amazing. Definitely worth getting into the theaters for. Um,
Hmm.
so you know what? I loved it. I loved the way they did the universes. I loved the way they did. They didn't shaft. Tom Holland Spider Man and just like get the fuck out the MCU. Dude, I love the fact that Charlie Cox is officially an MCU character and Daredevil exists in some capacity because
exactly.
that
I
was
was really hyped for that.
that was my favorite Netflix show out of
Yep.
all of them, and when I
Hmm.
found out they were all decanonized, I was like, "Ah, shit, I really liked him as Daredevil." So even if he was there for like a couple minutes, Daredevil's there. I hope they do something with that, and I like Charlie Cox as an actor. I think he did Daredevil amazing.
Yep.
So if I can see him in Daredevil, and then we can have a Daredevil Spider-Man something, I'll watch that. Like, I support that 100%. But yeah, just to wrap up my thoughts of the movie as a whole before we get into the nitty gritty of things. Great movie. Definitely watch it. You won't regret it. Just watch it if you can watch it. That's it for me.
Um, Kong, do you have anything?
I have a lot of things to say, but again, I want to give people a chance to get their
No, no,
thoughts
no.
in.
Because if you have a lot of things to say, then that means that you're gonna keep our conversation going. So I want to hear exactly what you have to say.
So to go off what Gunnar just said about the Daredevil appearance. So just as a preference preface rather, I have not seen any of the Netflix Marvel series. I haven't seen Luke Cage. I haven't seen Daredevil or
I
Punisher. I haven't seen any of it. Not because I don't want to, is I just haven't. Like I just haven't taken the time to do so. I actually really like the Punisher. I think Daredevil's cool, and obviously I like Spider Man. So and they all exist in New York. As far as like the heroes canon, like their storylines or whatever, it all takes place in the same city. And there's obviously like crossovers in the comic books and crossovers in the animated series, which I think we've all seen and enjoyed back in the day.
hmm
Um, I would have loved to see John Bernthal come back as the Punisher, even if it was just like something small in the background, like a news
Boy,
story or
he
something.
screams, yeah.
That would have been
Yeah.
fucking awesome.
All the
So
Punisher.
and I think the actor who played Daredevil, I don't know his name, you just mentioned it,
Charlie
Charlie
Cox.
Cox.
Charlie Cox. If he if they had him make an appearance, I think they're gonna do something with that. Like that,
Yeah.
there's no way they did that, and there's no like long term plan because it's like, well, look what they've done with the MCU. Like that's all long term planning, and like it's benefited not only like from a viewership standpoint, like as viewers, we got a fucking great collection of movies that all kind of
hmm
exist in the same space, but also like they made a ton of money because of that, right? It's almost like
Oh
good
yeah.
storytelling sells, right? What a fucking concept. But anyway, um, so there's definitely a plan in place there. So I definitely expect to see either maybe not a standalone movie, but definitely some appearances, some more substantial appearances from Daredevil which would be cool. Daredevil's not my favorite hero by no means. I like him, but like he's kind of like, to me, a B tier hero. Is like, oh, this guy's a blind dude, like whatever, But I respect the
can't.
character. I respect the character. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a cool character. My only gripe, and I mentioned this to Gunner because me and Gunner went to see it last week or 2 weeks ago. My only gripe, and it's not much of a gripe, it was just like, oh, that's unfortunate, is I forget the guy's name. Damn it. The guy who played Eddie Brock in the original Spider-Man trilogy.
I'm bad with actors, but
The guy from that
from
70s
that
show.
70s show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would have loved, even if it was like a 30-second cameo, it would have been awesome to have him interacting with Tom Hardy's Venom at the bar. They could have used the same exact, it could have been the same exact thing. He could have just came up to him and like, just came up to the bar and like ordered something and they're like, this world is weird, huh? And just say something along those lines, and then like the Venom inside Tom Hardy's like, this guy, I'm getting like a weird feeling from him or whatever. That would have been cool. Just to have that character represented, represented, because he's the only enemy who didn't get like any shine.
That is true. That
and
is actually
So
true.
what I did find out is that it's 5 villains that the 3 Spider-Men fight within the movie. It really was supposed to be 6 villains to create what the MCU's version of the Sinister Six,
Yeah.
and it was supposed to be Venom. The problem is, which it wasn't a problem, but they kind of understood. The writers understood exactly how to tell story, just like you mentioned earlier, good storytelling, because they knew that introducing Venom in the third act would have mean that they would have added additional scenes, which would have overshadowed the importance of Tobey Maguire's and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man being introduced in the second half of the movie, in the second portion of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So Venom really was supposed to be a villain to fight them.
But it would have been
I
too
don't know.
much.
Yeah,
For sure.
that basically that's what they were saying, that his character alone would have been so hype that it would have diminished or demeaned the hype of, Andrew Garfield coming back in the suit, getting back into the fray, and Tobey Maguire's maturity within to express that in the movie. So they was just like, you know what, let's just not put Venom in. And that's how Tom Hardy ended up getting that little scene. But I do agree with you,
To
because
me, like, okay,
I don't
so I'm gonna fantasy book for a second, okay? If you guys will allow me the ability to fantasy book for just a minute,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Go for
fantasy
it.
book with Venom. Okay, so the way I would, if I was an executive or if I was a writer, because Venom has to be in the movie, right? If I'm the writer, Venom's in the movie, one way or another, because Venom is my favorite Marvel villain. So everything else is the same as far as the movie is concerned, right? You don't show Venom at all. You don't even mention him. The 3 Spider-Man, they beat Electro, Green Goblin, Sandman, who was, that scene was hilarious when they all were like going back to their world, and he kind of looked at the camera all shocked, like,
oh god.
That scene cracked me up because I totally forgot he was there.
Yeah, before you continue, I was telling Kong when we finished watching, I was like, I thought we were never going to see the actual actor in the flesh at all.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a CGI version of him the whole movie. I'm like, did we have trouble booking him? Was he like out at some point?
I knew it was him because of his voice. That's how
it
I
was
knew,
him,
but I
and it
didn't.
was a
Yeah,
CGI face, but they
yeah,
they didn't show him in the flesh and blood until
that's true.
practically the end.
Yeah, until he actually got like reversed Sandman or whatever, the Hydro Collider or whatever it was. So yeah, you have the 3 Spider-Man finally work together, right? The big triumphant moment. Maybe cut down some of the Green Goblin fight. Maybe not. Maybe just make the movie 3 hours just to add this last part. So yeah, they beat those guys. Who else was in it? Dr. Octopus helped because he technically was cured before that big fight. And then who was the other guy?
Electro?
Lizard.
The Lizard.
Oh, the Lizard Man.
Very forgettable. Sorry, Lizard, but
wow.
very forgettable.
He's not wrong because I thought when the lizard came in, it was just one of like the random New Yorkers that got lizified in the movie. I didn't know it was the actual doctor himself until he spoke and I recognized the actor's voice. So I was like, oh shit, I thought you were just a lizard man from the Andrew Garfield, New York.
That's
Oh
horrible,
no,
Gunner. That's
no.
horrible.
I knew it was him. I just didn't like. I
I was
just felt that
expecting
he
the
didn't get
white
much.
coat. Like I guess I'm too used to the '90s cartoon, so every time I saw him, he had the white lab coat, and he
Yeah,
just was just a
and the
naked
purple
lizard man.
pants. Yeah.
Yeah, so, I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah.
So again, the way I would have written it, I would have written Venom in, is I would have written oh my god, that 70 shows guys, Venom. He would have came up at the end, right after they cured all of them. Doctor Strange is like, oh, I gotta close the portals or whatever, and they're like, we did it, guys. We're so cool. We're all Spider-Man. And then fucking he comes out and he sees Tobey Maguire's face because he took off his mask during that fight, and he's like, so here you are, Peter, and you've got friends or whatever, right? And then it's like, now fight me, right? That would have been so sick because nobody would have saw it coming, and that would have been a nice surprise. And then have maybe Tom either have the 3 Spider-Men beat him because they're working together, and obviously Venom can't take on 3 Spider-Man, or have Tom
You
Hardy
can't, they're all
Venom.
exhausted.
Well, that's true too. But if for some reason you want to book it to where it's like the 3 Spider-Man can't, they just can't beat this guy, right? Because they barely beat him in Spider-Man 3. Like, I think
Yeah,
it took
exactly.
Harry Osborn like turning face to
Mhm,
like help them or whatever to actually beat Venom because he was just too fucking strong.
mhm.
They could have just added Tom Hardy's Venom and have, because Venom is an anti-hero. Venom has worked with Spider-Man before, so we could have
Yeah.
gotten a Tom Hardy appearance, and this is like, I'm the only Venom around here, and then have that fight. That would have been over the top. That would have definitely overshadowed the Spider-Man's positioning, but like for
That
me
and the rest of the
personally,
villains.
and the rest of the villains would have been like totally shitted on, but like for me that would have been like ultimate fantasy book, and like, this is amazing, 2 Venoms in one movie. Oh my god, like I want to watch the movie again.
One of the
But
one of
I'll
the
take
gripes-
what they gave us. It's fine. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, that definitely would have been over the top Kong. I think one of the gripes that I had with the movie, um, I guess it wasn't I wouldn't say a gripe per se because the movie was phenomenal as we all in collection stated. But one of the things I would have loved to see how the other 2 Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield and what's his name?
Tobey
Damn,
Maguire.
yeah, Tobey Maguire. I would have wanted to see them be introduced in a way that they're taking on one of Tom Holland's villains, like the Vulture or whatever. Like that would have been nice because there wasn't, to what I recollect, there was no kind of representation for um Tom Holland's villains in this movie. It was just all the other ones.
Well, they're
Okay.
either in jail or they're dead. So
Yeah. And remember, they're going off his universe where when Andrews and Toby's universes collided with Tom's universe, it was more like the universes being collided at different times.
Yes.
So
yeah.
that's how you ended up getting, villains that are dead in their universes back alive again. And I also like that tidbit that the villains lose their memory or they can't remember the final fight. I love that because obviously how can you really identify that you're dead when you're dead?
Yeah, yeah.
But I think the movie I think it's okay the fact that they were no, I'm gonna say 3rd-gen Spider-Man villains in this one because this was this movie was about his ultimate growth to finally become an independent hero
Right.
within the
Yeah.
within
that's
the
been his
story.
story the whole time.
So
Yeah,
yeah, that's
through all
really
the
pretty
movies.
much what it was.
Yeah.
Right. It's,
You mentioned it before. You
um,
said the entire trilogy is his origin story, and that's true. That's so true.
right. This was the peak of it. So for him to go back and fight villains that he had fought before Esoteric, it for me would have been like, okay, you're going backwards, right?
Well,
Like these
no.
villains, that
I'm sorry, go
he
ahead.
fought. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you, but these villains that he fought, them dudes was top tier. Like these villains, in no way, shape, or form did they want the Spider-Man of their world to survive. The villains that Tom Holland fought for his movies weren't even really villains. They had different ideology, but they weren't bad. Like
They weren't lethal threats like the
Yeah,
other
they
ones
exactly.
were.
yeah,
Yeah.
I get
You
that.
know, so for them to come back is just more like, well, I conquered you already, right? But now you have. I'm gonna William Defoe's Green Goblin is another. He's another one. He's another. Yo, this man, like,
Love
if
that
I
I was
guy.
saw
gonna
him
bring it
on the
up, but
street,
yeah.
I'd
Go ahead.
cross the street.
I wouldn't know to whether to kiss his hands at his amazing work or cross the street because I am truly convinced he is the Green Goblin. Like that man's craftsmanship as the Green Goblin. Oh my god! It was like I was
Yeah,
watching a horror movie. He was
and
freaking
for him to bring it
scary.
back after all these years, like revitalize, like, oh, we gonna know who the fuck Green Goblin is, because this latest generation, they probably know of him, but they probably don't know about the Toby Maguire, Toby Maguire Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying?
They probably
Like
haven't
they
even
probably
seen the
like,
films.
huh?
They probably didn't even see the original Spider-Man.
That's what I'm saying, which is
Yeah.
what
Right.
I like about the movie, because it kind of circumvents all the Spider-Man. Like it gives a shine to each and every uh iteration of the films. You know, that's what I really enjoy about it. For
Mm.
most of the movie, because and to Wolf's point about this being his origin story, what I did like was that they were all relatable in a sense of we need to fix every single aspect of what occurred within our movies. So it's like, well, I didn't handle the situation with Green Goblin well. We should have saved him. We should have helped Doc Ock. This should have never ended the way that it did. You know, things like that. Like I like how they all,
It was a story of
yeah,
redemption
it pretty much was a story of
Hmm.
redemption.
Yeah.
for the other two. It was a story of redemption for the other two. My gripe for the movie is the fact that they fixed all these supervillains in a high school lab. It was like, wait, hold on. Green Goblin
Now,
serum
hold
came
on.
from a
Hold on.
top secret.
It came from Stark Tech,
Really?
first of all.
Yeah, yeah,
It was thanks to Tony Stark's technology that they managed to pull it off, which didn't exist in their
Right.
world, to be fair.
But they modified it or they were able to complete it in a high school lab. So okay, would that point of view thinking, because I didn't even think far back that he really did started the serums within the Happy's home, which had Tony's tech. But at the same time, for me, it was just more like, but the Green Goblin was created in like a super tech, multi-million-dollar
20 years ago.
laboratory
yeah. You got to think about
so
the
many years ago.
timeline.
Right. Well, okay, I guess, but I don't know. I just find that to be a little bit off. Like maybe if they had said, you know, Tom used his Iron Man or his Tony his Tony Stark's access with Eden, because that's the last acronym that Tony left him with. Um, then and got into a Tony Stark lab to do it, that would have made a little more sense to me. But the fact that they did it
Sure.
in his high school lab in the middle of the night, I don't know. I just felt like it downplayed the amount of effort that these villains put in to become what they became. But in the end of the day, that's just like something that
To
I thought
me,
about when I was looking at the
Well,
scene, but then
hmm
I forgot it afterwards.
well,
mm,
I think they kind of indirectly articulated how advanced Tom Holland's Spider-Verse is by showing how badly Electro wanted the Stark reactor, the
Oh
chest
yeah,
thing that. So
oh yeah.
I kind of let that go. I'm like, well, you know, they can't fill in all explanations, so we have to kind of like fill in the blanks ourselves, that they just had the technology available to them within that verse because they're more technologically advanced than the other two. That was just my, you know, my way of like filling in that particular gap.
not to mention, two things I want to mention to that point. One, fuck, it'll come back to me. The second point was Dr. Octopus, when he interacted with Spider-Man's suit and he immediately upgraded his arms, was like, all right. That I thought back to that particular scene when they kind of just like made the serum or reverse engineered the serum in like fucking Happy's Kitchen or whatever. It's like, okay, well, then again, like I kind of pieced it together. I was like, well, then again, like we're talking like Dr. Octopus's arms are from like 20 years ago, right? That's like comparing PlayStation 2 to like PS5. It's like there's no comparison in terms of power and like advancement, right? And then
But there were similarities in the tech, which is because apparently Doc Ock's tentacles have some nanotech type technology in it. So that's why I was able to work with Spider-Man. So I see where you're going. All right, go on. Sorry.
No, it's cool, dude. Damn it, I forgot the other point.
Was it about them working in the lab of his high school with normal chemistry chemicals? Like, I'm sorry, I just
No,
can't get over that.
no, I mean,
Okay.
I got over that, but I lost the thought. But anyway, I just wanted to give a quick shout out. Obviously, you bring out Willem Dafoe, like he was the star of that movie, in my opinion. He fucking killed it. But shout out to the costume designers and how they redid his costume to like, to be more accurate to like the animated series and comic book Green Goblin with the green
with the
hoodie. I didn't see it coming either, because when Osborn was in the homeless shelter or whatever, he had a purple hoodie on just because, and I didn't think of it. I was just like, oh, okay. And then when it got ripped up or whatever and it became like his overcoat for the Green Goblin final form, I was like, oh, like I popped hard inside. Like I didn't do it in theater because it was me and 3 other people, but like inside I was like, oh my god, that's so sick, because he had the hood on and like it was burnt up enough to where it looked ratty, kind of like in the comic books or whatever. I thought that was so sick. I was like, yo, whoever did that attention to detail, wow, like amazing.
And to a lesser extent, Electro too, because if you notice when he did his thunder,
power, he had the
mask
little
would kind
mask
of come
thunder.
up.
That was so cool. That was so sick.
So like they modernized some of the costumes, because it'd be really weird if Jamie Foxx comes in like a tight skin yellow fucking suit. It would be, I mean, say what you want about like keeping it OG, but I think they did good to keep it modern, but still throw it back to like, if you look up Electro's OG costume, it's a guy with thunderbolts covering his face. So
Speaking of that, to nod to your attention of detail, one thing I love, and I don't think anybody has ever pointed it out from the sources that I've looked into. Did anybody notice that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was superior to the other two?
Yes.
Now that you mention it,
Yes, I did, because
He
I was
beat
like,
Andrew
damn.
Garfield in the kitchen. As short of that fight scene was, no, everybody else started clapping when they started flipping and shooting webs at each other, and then it just stopped when he covered Andrew Garfield web shooter with his own web. But I don't think anybody really realized how significant that is. Like Andrew Garfield Spider-Man was aiming for body shots, at least that's what I would assume, to pin him to something. But he took away Andrew Garfield's long range attack, Spider-Man's only range attack. He took it away in that short instant. As a matured Spider-Man, he knew, okay, I got to shut this guy's webs down. And he did it instantly. And then on top of that, at the end, Tom Holland put everything into that glider to come down on Green Goblin. And he could not outstrength Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. He couldn't do it. So ultimately, he had to give into that, okay, I can't do this, so now I have to calm down. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just found that to be very detailed as the oldest Spider-Man.
It's that
He
old
was
man
not only
strength.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And I also speculated the fact that remember they had the discussion about the webs and how he's the only one that can actually build the webs from his own body. I kind of like, basically associated that with, well, he got bit by the spider, so his web will be just as strong as the spider's. All their the other ones are like technologically made, so it would never be more superior than what Toby's own web would be. Because as he works out, as he gets better, physically wise, I would only assume that his web would get just as strong. So when he did all that shit, it was hilarious, and I was like really hype about it too. Also, a funny part of the movie was like when MJ was falling, and then Toby and Tom was looking at Andrew like, "Oh shit, don't fuck this up, don't fuck this up." Like,
Me and Kong were laughing about that. I felt bad for his Spider-Man the
me
whole
too,
movie. He was
me
like, "I'm
too.
a good Spider-Man, right? I'm good. I deserve a third movie. I'm good." I was
Yeah,
like,
they gave him the
"Come
short
on,
end of the
man!"
stick.
Like, because but it was part of his character because that was when he got blasted to Tom's world. That was after Gwen died, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
he's like super. His self-confidence is in the gutter. He's like, "Am I like I can't save anybody? Like, am I even worthy of being Spider-Man? Like, what do I have these powers for?" And it took like Toby and um
And Tom.
yeah, Toby and there's like too many T's. It took
Yeah.
Toby and Tom, their Spider-Man, to basically tell him like, "Look, you messed up, but you are Spider-Man for a reason. Like you have these abilities for a reason, so you are worthy of being Spider-Man." And you shouldn't let this one, even though it's a monumental failure, that you shouldn't let it define who you are. So like at the end of the day, like he got his confidence back when he saved, that universe's MJ. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
they did that on
I was
purpose. Yeah.
excited. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
I was
was it,
excited when he leaped for her and he saved. I was like, that's your redemption. You got your
yeah.
redemption right
Yeah.
there.
They
Right.
added they added so much to that scene. Like when I saw the whole Statue of Liberty setting and how they were adding the shield to it or whatever, and like the whole construction site,
Side note,
I
I'm
am
glad they got rid of that shield. That shit was so fucking tacky. I don't even think Captain America would want that. So I'm glad it got destroyed.
yeah, it was pretty weird. It was interesting
I
and
get it.
weird
In
or
that world,
whatever.
in that universe, Captain America no longer exists. Not the Steve Rogers that we know, but
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. But in regards to that whole setting, I immediately just thought of the end scene of Spider-Man 3. Like the whole setting, the whole fight setup, it gave a lot of similarities with Spider-Man 3. Like even the whole part where I don't know if you recall because this was a while back, Spider-Man 3 when him and Goblin at the time, William Defoe's son, I kind of forgot his name though. Another
Franco,
great
something
actor.
Franco,
Oh yeah, James Franco.
Franco.
James Franco.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
James Franco. Like they had that shot where they showed in the trailer as the villains were jumping towards them. There was a similar shot, if I'm not mistaken, in 3 where they were jumping towards Sandman and Venom. So they kind of took that shot as well. They took the whole shot with Amazing Spider-Man as he's jumping to save MJ. Like they took a lot of shots from those 2 films to incorporate that final scene. Like I was like, wow.
I think
Yeah.
Kong said it best. It was the perfect Spider-Man fan love letter
Yeah.
in many ways, especially when you break it down and you look at how these characters, I mean, it's three different Spider-Mans with completely three different personalities, but they all worked. They had their chemistry. Even like say when they were swinging in the last fight, if you took notice, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was the flashy one. Like he jumped off the building backwards. He would swing and flip at the same time. But even during the fight, they had a hard time at first getting it together because Spider-Man
Mhm.
is typically a lone fighter, and because they had to do that, Tom Holland had to, again, another growth for him because this is the first movie where he's taking leadership place. He had to guide them on how to exactly coordinate their fights because he's already had the experience with the Avengers. So like what Gunnar said earlier, if they was to bring him back into the MCU and put him on a team, he wouldn't struggle because while the Avengers may have forgotten him, at least the Avengers that are left may have forgotten him, he hasn't forgotten them. So
Yeah.
obviously that memory of teamwork is going to come back into play for him. So it's just like a lot of the movie, it literally was even when they all landed, they all did their iconic pose from each movie. I was just the whole movie just had like I had a mask on, but there was a big my the smile on my face was so wide you could see the edge of my mouth outside of my mask. Like, and I had my little one sitting there, and
Looking like William
he's
Dafoe over
like,
there.
like I had my little one sitting next to me, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, Daddy, there's 3 Spider-Mans." I'm like, shh, movie, movie. Just like I was just so focused on just catching as much details and like the whole movie just was just built exactly like how, and this is a little off topic, but it's built exactly like how I want video games to be built again, with time and detail. like like with some effort and care. Like they actually gave a shit about putting this movie out.
Yeah,
You know,
no, they
and
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never I from the time where, him losing Tony Stark, then him losing his aunt, then him losing basically the love of his life because of because of his worry that he'd get her hurt again. Um, it was just like, yo, this guy finally is starting to make, or ultimately decided to, starts making more mature decisions. Um, and correct me if I'm wrong, the room that he got in the end, isn't that the same apartment that Toby
I think
Maguire
so.
got
It
in
looks
Spider-Man
exactly
2?
the same.
It looked
It looks exactly the
like
same.
it.
But I have to like watch both movies and compare, and because the movie isn't
Yeah.
available like on DVD or whatever, I can't really like analyze it the way I would like to, but it
Mm.
looks eerily similar, and I was like, wow,
It did.
that's so
It
sick.
definitely did.
Yeah, because I even when he was going in the apartment, they
The
were
stairway looked the
the
same, the color
yeah,
palette,
and the
the
Yeah.
landlord was
mood.
saying, don't forget to pay my rent, and
Yeah, rent's on the
it was
first of the month. Yeah.
there's something like that he said, and it was like, this is the scene. Like this is when Toby got his apartment. Isn't that the same? I was just confused as hell, but I didn't want to ask the dude next to me. It's not the same. Like I didn't want to do that, but at the same time, it was just
He
like
turns around, looks
it's
at
just
you like, I don't even know, man. I thought this was a Batman movie.
you know. But it was just like that. Like I, other than like I said, the whole pool thing with the chemicals, reverse engineering the chemicals. Um, I really can't see where the movie faltered. And I know I'm talking like I'm gushing because Spider-Man he's not my number one favorite hero, but he is definitely up there on the list for me. Um, but it's just like like I don't see where they went wrong. I I don't see it. I
No,
really can't see where that movie went wrong in any way.
It didn't.
for me, there were only two kind of cringy scenes, and this is just like if I got a nitpick, it was when Defoe used the meme. He was like, "Oh, I'm something of a scientist myself." I was like, "Oh, just don't say pizza time. Just don't say pizza time." Luckily, they did it. And
Mhm.
the other one that I think was really ham-fisted was when Electro was like, when he finally saw the Andrew Spider-Man unmasked, he was like, "Oh man, I see you swinging around. You're helping poor people. Like I thought you were
Oh,
black."
yeah.
And he's like, "I'm sure there's a black Spider-Man out there somewhere." I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I get it. Okay, nice reference, bro." But it was just those two parts that were like really ham-fisted, where they could have gotten really hardcore with the memes and like the inside jokes. I'm just really glad that they didn't go
They did.
that deep, and that was the extent of it.
Well, I actually liked the fact that as far as the overall scene goes, I like the scene between the hero and the villain because remember Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was the only Spider-Man that didn't have that sympathetic connection to any of his villains. Um, which again is another form of fixing his movies because Tobey Maguire Spider-Man had that sympathetic connection with almost all his villains, with the exception of, I think, maybe I'm gonna say maybe Venom,
Yeah,
right?
he hated Venom.
Um, yeah, he did. He wanted him dead. Um, but and then Tom Holland had that sympathetic connection with Vulture. So because you know that in the MCU, Vulture knows who Spider-Man is, and he refused to say, to give criminals that information,
Yeah, yeah.
Well, not
which I
anymore.
Well, yeah.
well, not
Yeah, not
anymore, right? But
yeah.
in the beginning, he knew. So there was
Yeah.
that sympathetic connection. To Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man didn't get a sympathetic connection with any of
Well,
his villains.
wasn't he friends like kind of friends with Electro when he was like a geeky like dude? Because I could have sworn they like either worked in the same place or they were both at Oscorp, but he was like a janitor there.
Yeah, he was like some
So
type of janitor that fell into some project they were
no,
working
he
on,
wasn't
but
a janitor. He knew his
no, he
stuff.
was a scientist. I'm sorry. He
Right.
was an actual
Yeah.
Oh,
scientist.
Yeah. What that premise was, Jamie Foxx's character was like a big fanboy of Spider-Man.
right.
Right,
Okay.
which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
it's a loophole in the movie because he didn't really know who Spider-Man was for him to even be transferred into Tom Holland's movie to begin with. But I think they just they needed
I mean,
a
because
villain.
they could have
Right.
thrown in
Uh,
Rhino, but the guy had like 5 seconds at the end of the movie. So
yeah, no. And Rhino was not gonna work. If they chose that dude over Jamie Foxx's Electro, epic fail. But
Yeah.
anyhow, because Jamie Foxx is not a bad actor, and
No.
Electro to me is far more deadly than Rhino.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. There's not even a question
Yeah.
about that.
so that was a better villain to pick, but he knew Spider-Man. It's just that there was a confusion in Times Square, and he ultimately thought that Spider-Man was trying to set him up. So he went to the dark side and decided he wants to take over the world instead of actually try to do something good with his powers. But
okay, okay.
right, that's what that confusion was in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, the fact that he had that scene with Andrew Garfield and as an older individual, he's just like, wow, you're so young and you're doing this, and it kind of it brought him back to the humanity or the human state that Electro was before he became Electro. And the whole thing about him being black, I think was more like, yeah, Miles Morales is coming, and
Yeah,
that's
that's what I think it was
DC.
too.
That's Disney's way of saying Miles Morales is coming.
Yeah.
That's the second time they referred to Miles for Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I think that's what that scene significantly was. But I get your point where you feel like it's forced because they're trying to add in diversity into it. But I think it's more going to that line where it's like, okay, we're going to introduce a new Spider-Man
I agree.
because Tom Holland's contract ain't so
Stable.
solidified
Yeah.
anymore. Right. So we're gonna have to do something new. And who's the next big Spider-Man? Miles
It's
Morales.
Miles. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's my point towards that, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But the blatant memery was like, oh, I'm something of a scientist myself. Like,
I didn't
get out of here with your memes.
I've always sucked with memes. I didn't even know that was a
Oh,
Same.
meme.
yeah.
Same.
That's like
I
a
didn't see the connection with that.
that and
Yeah.
Pizza Time. Those are like really popular memes from Toby Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, okay, I
I,
know
I think
Pizza
that's
Time
more of a
because
unique thing for you because like you're obviously in that space more. Because like
Mhm.
it didn't click with me until you said something. I was like, oh shit, that is a meme. So to me, it was like more. I took it more like just paying homage to like the original film in a funny way because Sam Raimi's like directing and writing style is very cheesy. Like if you look at the first three Spider-Man movies, they're all super cheesy.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
And
think
he did say that. He did say that in Spider-Man 1. He did say I'm something of a scientist myself.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So I think
Mm.
that was intentional. Like they didn't add it there just like they added it probably for the memes, but also like just like a little like nod, tip of the cap to the original
Nice little
writer or
Easter egg.
whatever. Yeah, something of an Easter egg. Um, So I didn't get so upset up. Like I wasn't annoyed by it. I was just like, that's funny. And then with the whole Miles Morales like foreshadowing, I think it's done for a reason. I don't think it was just fan servicey. I think there is a plan in place to like introduce the fourth
Miles.
Spider-Man, Miles of Spider-Man, which is going to be insane because that he is overpowered like a motherfucker. He has so much ability, it's insane. That movie's going to be
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
As
um,
long as they do it right.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah. I agree. I feel like this movie kind of assisted with uh it kind of assisted with fixing all the negatives that fans thought of with the first two iterations of the Spider-Man. Like I'm referring to Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's version of Spider-Man, because they weren't directly ports from the comic books material. um I feel like this movie fixed it because it articulated, like, listen guys, this is going to be different worlds of Spider-Man. There's going to be different multiverses of Spider-Man. So it kind of leave a little leeway for, oh, well, okay, maybe that's why, this particular villain was the way that he was, or yeah, this why Tom Holland's Venom is the way that he is. Because personally, I don't like Tom Holland's version of Venom. Like, I didn't like it, but with this movie coming out and with the little after clip that they had, it makes me a little more inclined to watch it, because it's like, okay, well, they didn't just make him this particular Venom because they didn't know how to, you know, uh kind of view him. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know how to, like, have him in the big picture and put him into a Spider-Man or
well,
his own Venom movie.
yeah, I don't think the Sony Venom would have worked for MCU Spider-Man. I think Sony Venom is kind of its own thing at this point, because I have to disagree with you. Like, I love his Venom. Like, the way him and Venom interact in like the Venom and the Carnage movies. Oh my god, like, you could take out the Venom. He doesn't have to transform. I'll take a movie of them just talking to each other and him just being like, because I've seen Tom Hardy in other movies, so seeing him as kind of like this crazy fucking recluse guy is just, I love it. Like, it always cracks me up. I was
Well,
laughing more at the Carnage movie than I probably should have.
I didn't see the Carnage movie, which is why I'm saying, like, this movie made me more inclined to watch it now. But the original Venom movie, I'm like, this isn't Venom. This isn't like, they usually speak when Venom is together, they usually speak from a we perspective, not a, like, more individualized kind of banter, you know what I'm saying? Um and they were kind of like goofy, in my opinion. Venom is not goofy, he's more like serious and I'm ready to wreck shit. So that kind of what drove me away from, like, well, this isn't really Venom or whatever. Um so it's like, well, now that this movie kind of incorporated the fact that, hey, this is a different version of Venom, it's like, okay, well, let me take a look at it and give it a little more leeway. That's just me personally.
The what threw me off on Tom Hardy's Venom is the fact that the symbiote was able to articulate words, and in maybe there is a version of Venom in the comic books where it can talk, or it can talk as well as that Venom was talking. Um, but that's what threw me off. Now I do agree with Gunnar though, at least for the first one, because I haven't seen the second one yet, and I intend to. That Venom movie, it really isn't that bad. Like this, because I'm torn in between, because I agree with Kong and that the Venom from the 1990s animated series is by far what we know of Venom to be, and that is our favorite iteration of Venom if I had to pick one. But I also agree with Gunnar in that the way that they transitioned this Venom with Tom Hardy, the chemistry that they developed, it worked for the movie and made the movie entertaining for the most
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
So it's so hard when it comes to deciding if Tom Hardy's Venom for me is a really good Venom or is a bad Venom. That's why, and so many people disagree with me. I don't really care, but that's why I feel like the dude who was Venom in Spider-Man 3 for Tobey Maguire, I think he was a damn good Venom. Especially after, especially after he got the symbiote suit on him. Why do I think that? Again, it all goes down to the detail of the character. He had the fangs, he had the tongue, he had the black suit, which directly imitated Sam Raimi's version of the Spider-Man suit. Even when he shot his web, it came from the back of his hand, just like in the
Mm-hmm.
1990s animated series. It
Yep.
came from the patch on the back of his hand. They were stronger, he was faster, he was smarter. It was just like that is Venom. Okay, so he wasn't big and Hulk like, but that was Venom.
Yep.
So for
I agree.
me, that was an amazing yeah, okay, finally, at least we can agree on that. Like,
Yeah.
that was an amazing Venom overall. Overall, when you look at the overall picture between the actor and the CGI and everything, it was an amazing Venom. Tom Hardy's Venom isn't a bad Venom, but you would have to let go of the idea of there are that there's more than just one type of Venom. That's like you have to let go of the idea that there is just more than one type of Spider-Man. Um,
Well,
like a lot of people love Miles Morales. I'm not a big fan of Miles Morales, but that's a different topic.
well, that and that's what I'm saying. Like this movie kind of opened my mind, so to speak, because it's like it's you know in this day and age now we have to understand that these movies are not going to like portray what you know about comic books verbatim. So you have to just just understand that. Um which is why I gave the first Venom a chance. I just haven't gotten around to like seeing the Carnage one or whatever. But again, this movie made me more inclined to make it like a priority to see what happens in that movie. But overall, what this particular movie did was emphasize like, hey, everybody's going to have their own creative views pertaining to certain characters within the comic books that you know and love, and pretty much just keep an open mind. It also shows me too that some, not all of like the directors, producers, whoever, facilitates the movies overall knows what they're doing. And it kind of makes me feel like some of the stuff that they omitted out of certain movies and some of the things that they added that we're not familiar with was absolutely intentional. So, it all I'm saying is that this movie opened my mind and it makes me want to view other movies that I kind of was like, with a, with a different set of eyes.
Now I'm gonna get cursed out for this, but Blanka Kong, does that mean that you're finally gonna watch the Venom movies?
I'll think about it,
I
but I'm
thought you
not.
was gonna say
Okay.
Monster Hunter.
No, no,
Well,
the
this
Venom
isn't a
movies. We're on.
Monster
I know.
Hunter podcast, so I mean, when did it even come out? It came out like 3-4 years ago now, right? Something like that.
Yeah,
Something,
yeah.
give or
Okay,
take.
so there's been a lot of time between my initial rage at like what the direction that we're going with, and now. So I'm like less. I still okay. So I haven't seen the movie at all. I've made a very purposeful effort to just not watch the film. It's been free on TV. It's been on like streaming services that I have and pay for. There's really no reason why I haven't seen it yet, other than I just haven't seen it yet, right? Am I more inclined to seeing it after? And I like Tom Hardy, by the way, as an
Yeah,
actor, generally
yeah,
speaking. Um, yeah, I'm a little more inclined to giving it a chance, especially seeing that it's like so available now. Like I don't really have to pay much to see it, or if anything, nothing. Maybe, but no promises, obviously. Uh, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe. But I did want to bring up before we end. They hinted a lot at Ned, Tom Holland's like best friend, becoming a supervillain, and the fact that he has the potential to control magic from what we saw in the film.
yeah.
I'm really curious because I don't have a prediction. I don't know based on what we saw, but he's clearly going to be a villain in either the next film or the film after. And considering now that he
Yeah.
has no memory of Peter Parker, like, what does that mean? Like, who could he become in this new universe of Spider-Man as a villain? Scorpion, Dr. Octopus,
I
Green
read an
Goblin.
article. I read an article saying that it could be Hobgoblin.
That's true. I think as far as I recollect, and like, don't quote me on this because I don't really remember. I think that there's multiple hobgoblins, and I think the one that Ned potentially portrays was like brainwashed or something like that. I can't recall. Again, don't quote me on that, but I believe that's what it was. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I don't know because they're changing up the timelines and whatnot and the multiverses. So who knows? Who knows which direction they're going to take with this?
So whatever direction they're gonna take with it, I just hope they continue to take good directions. Continue to take their time with the movies. The best things are things that are not rushed, in my opinion. Um, like it's like I'm not really interested in the MCU's second wind, past the original Avengers and, the movies that came out for phase one. Not really interested in the ones coming out in phase two. I guess it will be phase two. This is phase two for them now?
I think it's considered phase 4, actually.
Oh, it is phase four.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay. All right, so that from Iron Man 1 all the way up to Endgame was
I
multiple
think
phases.
I think from like the
Hmm.
establishment movies like Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, um and like the establishment of the Avengers, that's phase 1, and then everything in the leading up to Endgame and or Infinity War and Endgame, that's phase 2, I think.
Hmm.
I'm not sure where 3 fits in. All I know is every time I watch a video, anything that's new, they say phase 4. So like
Yeah, I think it's
Oh,
anything
okay.
after Endgame. I think phase two was during Ultron, and then phase
there
one
you go,
was
there you go, there you go. I forgot that was
Avengers.
like an arc. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, and just quickly,
Gotcha.
I know he was an important character, and I really like Benedict's portrayal of him, but him in the movie, Doctor Strange in the movie, just got me more interested to see his
Yes.
sequel to his
Yes.
standalone movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just interested in the character. Like I know almost nothing about him in the comic book scene, but the way he portrays the character and the way he acts in the MCU, he's like after Spider-Man, he's like the last one I want to watch.
Well, oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
To your point, Telly, did you guys see at the end where they showed Shuma Gorath?
No?
They did?
Y'all didn't see the green monster with the tentacles when they showed at the end because there were two ending credits scenes.
No?
Oh shit.
Holy shit. Yeah, they showed Shuma gory. Like damn.
Smuggler?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, they
Now
did.
you just now you just messing with my head.
Did
What?
you did you watch the two ending credits?
I missed the first one because I needed to pee. Um, so I missed the first one, and I think the first one was
The first one was
Venom,
Venom. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But then the second one, I don't remember if I even watched the second one.
It had it, oh my god. It showed Shuma. I mean, maybe my eyes are deceiving me, but it showed a green entity with one eyeball and it had tentacles. So I was like, holy shit, they got
Hey,
Shuma in here.
I don't doubt you because me and Kong saw the Venom and we figured that was it and we walked
Yeah, we
out the
left.
theater.
Yeah,
So
it was
I'm not
two.
doubting you. I mean, we can, a YouTube search or Google search will probably confirm. But huh? Well, him I know nothing. I know Marvel vs. Capcom. That's the extent of my knowledge. So if he does like a 50 hit combo into laser beams, I'm like, hey, that's from the video game. But other than that, so I'm assuming he's a Doctor Strange villain.
Uh,
I don't know where he
that
came
I'm not
from.
certain. I'm
Oh,
not certain.
okay.
I'm not. I know that he can go through dimensions, if I'm not mistaken, but that's as
Okay.
far as I know.
Because when
Yeah,
those
and I
tears in
believe he's
reality
really
came out,
powerful.
yeah, when those tears came out, there was a lot of dudes standing there. So I don't know how many cameos we got in.
Yeah.
I I, I
But
did not notice that Schumer was there, but go on.
no, that's it. Yeah, that just made me want to watch the new Doctor Strange movie even more. So that dual marketing going on, it worked, at least for me.
Yeah, it sold me.
Okay, all right.
Anything
Well,
else?
No, I think I said everything I needed to say.
same, same. I there's no other points that I can address at this moment that I can even think
Oh,
of right now.
just I did think of something. I also liked that there were um stakes in this movie, permanent stakes. Like May died, as in she's not getting up again.
Yeah,
Because
this
before
dad.
Endgame, I mean, look, we've seen most of the Marvel movies. A lot of them have been super safe. It's like, oh, did he die? Oh, nope, he's fine. And I get that, right? You don't wanna kill off like Captain America in the second movie. I understand, but Marvel movies have a tendency to play it really safe, and I'm just glad that after Endgame, we're willing to let certain characters die. I know it was kind of like a given because you know, this Spider-Man's May is every other Spider-Man's Ben. So it was kind of like, okay, well, one is somebody close to you still gonna die. We're just changing the gender on you. But I do
Mm.
like that there were stakes, like there was like loss, so he can grow as a character. So I did like
Yeah,
that.
it all was based on just the fact that he keeps making bad, or the decisions that he makes, he has to pay for them. Whatever decision you make, there's going to be repercussions to it. And he made, in my opinion, he made few reckless decisions, which ended up costing her life. But in his mind, he was trying to just be the best person that she raised him to be.
Right.
But sometimes, which I wonder if he's learned his lesson from there. But sometimes, you just have to let things be the way they are. You can't fix everybody's problems, and I think that's one of the lessons that he really truly learned. When you
Yeah, I
try to
agree.
fix someone else's problem, it becomes your problem. And that's exactly what happened. So as far as the trailer goes, Esoteric, I looked it up. Yes, Schumer Garaf is in the next. He is there. He throws a bus at Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was like, I know I'm not going
So
crazy here.
that should be one badass fight scene because Schumer Garaf is an extremely powerful Marvel character, from my understanding.
Oh, well,
So
we'll be talking about the Doctor Strange movie in another podcast, so look forward to that one.
Indeed. Any last thoughts, Kong?
Nope, no last thoughts. So, thank you guys for listening. Appreciate it. If you enjoyed the conversation, I know it was a little scrambled, but um, I'm shrugging. So, leave a like down below. Comment down below. Tell us your favorite moment from the Spider-Man film. Tell us your thoughts on that film and if you liked it or not, or if you thought other films in the past were superior, or whatever. Subscribe for more content. We put podcasts up every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so check us out there. We also stream. So Esoteric streams on Logical Gamers TV every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Plays a lot of single player action adventure games. He dabbles in a little multiplayer as well. So definitely check him out there. I stream as well. I'm working on a schedule. Right now, I'm streaming every Sunday. I usually stream platformers, 2D side scrollers, indie games, retro games, things like that. So if you're interested in that, you can check out my channel. We also have videos from our Twitch on this YouTube as well, so you can check those out as well. And that's pretty much it. So, Esoteric, do you want to tell the people where they can find us on the socials?
Yes, guys, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Logical Gamers TV. Just look for the light bulb icon. Also, we are establishing a TikTok and we also have a Discord as well. And all these links will be available within the description down below.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for the conversation. Appreciate it.
later.
Till
All right.
next time.